As I mentioned earlier, in this chapter, I'm showing you how to do things the sort of wrong way and then showing you how to do it the right way. And now we come to what is wrong and what is right. If you want to create a purely non-destructive procedural model, one that is driven by simple instructions, such as what's the level of detail or what region do you want deleted? And if you want to follow that procedure and make it so that you can change all those parameters and not have issues, then you need to observe certain best practices. And what I've done here is I've set it up to illustrate an issue that can arise if you do not follow best practices. So let's take a look. I'll select my sphere. And let's say I decided I needed a greater level of detail. Maybe there's not enough detail on this and I want smaller polygons. Maybe it's going to be an extreme close-up and I want to be able to resolve a better curve there. So I can go into the sphere base object here and I immediately get a warning. A modifier exists in the stack that depends on topology. Changing parameters may have undesirable effects. Dependent modifier is polyselect. Are you sure you want to continue? 95% of people have no idea what this means when they see it. And even people who have worked in 3D for years will look at this dialogue and say, what are they talking about? Well, what they're saying here is that what you do in the level of the sphere is going to have possibly unpredictable results on what happens later. And that's because you have something called a dependent modifier, which is polyselect. Okay, well, I'm just going to go through it and just see what happens, all right? So I'm going to say, yes, I want to continue. And in my innocence, I'm going to go over here to the segments and try to increase the level of detail. And as I do that, you will see that not the entire object has been deleted. We've got something deleted, but not the parts I wanted. I wanted everything above this line to be deleted, and I just wanted to increase the level of detail there. But that's not how it works. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm increasing and decreasing the overall number of polygons. And then above that in the stack, there is an explicit hard selection of certain polygons in this polyselect modifier. So that basically indicates that each polygon, or more specifically, each point or vertex has a unique identifier. We don't get to see those vertex IDs, but they exist somewhere in the program code of 3ds Max and in this particular scene. So when I made that polyselect, basically I was saying select every vertex or every polygon from 100 above. Well, that's fine. But then when I increased the number of polygons, well, polygon number 100 landed in some other location now. So some other part of the object is getting deleted. All right, so this is the problem. And this is actually a pretty benign instance of it. I mean, there are situations where when you get that topology dependence warning and then you ignore it and go ahead and do something, you'll actually wreck your model. It'll actually blow up and you'll never get it back. So don't let it happen to you. This is the issue. So when you see that warning, be aware that if you continue, you may have some very undesirable results. Okay, so that's how topology dependence works. If I put this back to exactly 64, then we will probably get back to where we were. Usually that's the case, but I have seen cases in which when you restore all the parameters back to where they were before, it still kind of blew up the model. So be careful with this. In the next movie, I will show you how to avoid this completely by not making an explicit selection, but rather by selecting based upon an enclosed volume.